Hello, gorgeous, and a warm welcome to Accepting. I'm Aline, your host. I'm a mentor, a channel, and a coach, and I love to see highly sensitive people and empaths in all walks of life flourish. In this very special festive episode, the most wonderful astrologer, Patricia Tabares, is joining us. Patricia has the most beautiful school, the Avalon School of the Soul, and is an expert in astrology, in runes, in biodecoding, and so much more. And in this episode, she is going to talk to us about what is happening in the skies at the moment, how that affects us for the end of this year, and as a collective for 2025. Wishing you the most wonderful of Christmases. Have a brilliant time watching this. Grab yourself a cup of tea, get cozy. You don't want to miss this. Thank you so much for being here, Patricia. It's amazing that you've taken your time when I know you have a really, really, really busy schedule.
Thank you, Aline, for thinking of me to share these minutes or whatever, however long it takes to talk about topics that we are both so much interested in, and I'm sure your audience will hopefully engage into because there's a lot coming ahead for us in 2025. So that's what I would like to talk about today.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, because as you know, the podcast is called Accepting, and it's for highly sensitive people. It's for empaths in all walks of life to really start accepting all aspects of themselves. And especially as we're moving towards the divine feminine, and with the most incredible work that you do with astrology, with runes, with teaching, we'll get to all of that. I really, really felt, and thank you again for being here, that it was so important that we have some guidance when we're coming into 2025, because we've already had quite a lot of things going on in 2024.
Absolutely.
As we're recording, we're in Mercury retrograde. So would you mind just giving us a little insight, please, of what's happening at the end of this year, 2024, and then
Perfect.
and then we can talk about 2025.
Sure. Well, first of all, and in line with what you were just saying as an introduction, it's important to think that we are on the threshold of an incredible shift or change of energies. And I would like also to think that rather than the word uncertainty, which is what we have been feeling a lot since, say, 2020 with the pandemic and everything that went on in the last 4 years or so. This sense of uncertainty, I would like people to change into the concept of curiosity because it's pretty much the same background, but you can either take on a stance of uncertainty and fear and anxiety, but the very same events that we're going to witness as from now on more in a more impactful way, I would like to invite people to look into these changes through the eyes of a curious child in Disney World or Disneyland, because really everything that is going to happen more clearly, because as you said, it's not an overnight change. It's not an overnight kind of series of events. We have been shaken off our feet, 2024 especially, with so many episodes in nature, in politics, in kind of social structures, ideologies, and so on and so forth. Well, that precisely is kind of the before scenery for what we are going to witness in 2025. And you were very wisely asking me about this time of the year 2024, because what is very interesting is to see that the slow planets actually Saturn and Uranus, Neptune and Pluto are the ones that work um, as the bringers of a new awareness or awakening into a more evolutionary process, right? And curiously enough, all four are closing up a long cycle of visiting a certain sign and working around a certain concept. To make this clearer, Saturn is actually closing its cycle in Pisces, where it stayed for 2 years and a half. Same holds for Neptune in Pisces for the last 12 years. When we talk about slow planets, um, we refer to Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, planets that really move forward at a very slow pace. And by doing so, they invite us to go through a process of awakening or awareness of some evolutionary processes that we are invited to go through.
Mm.
Different from personal planets like, you know, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. They're more like personal planets happening. Things happen on a daily basis, showing us something of our daily life, communication, action, cooperation, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But when it comes to the slow planets, like, as I said, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and
Mm.
Pluto, there is a sort of message that invites us to become more fully aware of processes. And all of these planets are rounding up a cycle with a message they intended to put forward for a new consciousness. So, to clarify this, let's talk about Saturn closing its period of visiting Pisces for 2 years and a half.
What does that mean? What does that mean for us
Absolutely.
sensitives with, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Saturn is the planet that whose function is to structure, to frame, to stabilize, to become really aware of, because it's the principle of reality. Saturn says it is what it is when it is, and where it is, right? So
Mm.
it's like Saturn says, this is reality, be aware of it, become responsible of, become really conscious of, and structure yourself around whatever concept Saturn
Mm.
invites us to shape and form. And Pisces is a lot
Mm.
about compassion, soul energy, connection, deep connection with humanity as a whole, with the cosmos, if you like, with the magic of the soul, right? With
Mm. It's quite a dreamy
oracles.
sign, isn't it?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
the oceans
Mm.
that invite us to float and connect deeply.
Mm.
So Saturn in Pisces, well, this is not a very comfortable placement for Saturn, because Saturn is all about reality, structure, limits. It's like concrete, rigid shape of a tower, if you like.
Mm.
And it was deeply immersed in the oceans of Neptune with this sense of something blurry, not well defined, not clearly kind of structured, if you like. So, uncomfortable as it is for Saturn, it has been a great invitation for us human beings who are deeply connected with this kind of languages that are oracles, with the world of energy, the this deep connection with the human spirit of empathy, love, universal love. Well, what Saturn has been asking of us is to be serious about it and to give it a shape and form, to structure it like a beautiful podcast. I mean, there's a lot of working, organizing, being very conscious of, and the input is this loving and beautiful message of the essence of what human beings should connect with, right?
Gorgeous.
And
Yeah. And so,
so,
may I just say, so it kind of feels like we're being told, and thank you so much for saying about the podcast.
mhm,
So, would you say it feels like we're being told? So, as you said about the seriousness of Saturn with the beautiful qualities of clairvoyance and our gifts and our
absolutely.
sensitivity, that we're being told to take this seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Gorgeous, and
And
to really kind of, as Saturn says, get on with it.
exactly. And
Yeah.
also the response of people in general, people are more willing to be open to a reading
Mm,
in astrological terms,
mm,
biodecoding, family constellations, akashic records. I mean, people are taking this more seriously.
yeah.
And we have to thank Saturn for that.
Thank you,
Even though
Saturn.
Saturn was not too comfortable in the deep waters of the ocean, because Saturn wants to come out and stand on firm grounds,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Well, so this has been going on with Saturn, that is changing or shifting into areas. And I will take that up in a minute. I would like to just give a very brief rounding up of what I meant by the slow planets ending a cycle. And then I'm going to
Beautiful.
describe each one more
Thank you.
deeply or clearly. So Saturn finishing its cycle in Pisces, moving into Aries. Pluto closing up its cycle in Capricorn since 2008, and then ingressing Aquarius finally and for a long period of time in Aquarius. And I will refer to that more precisely because it is one of the protagonists of 2025. Then Neptune moving from Pisces, where it stayed for 12 years, very comfortable. And like Saturn, Pisces rejoiced in the waters of Pisces because this is the sign that Neptune rules.
Mm,
So, uh, moving now into Aries and meeting Saturn in Aries after 36, 37, or 38 years, right?
wow.
So that is also
Mm,
big important message for 2025. And then Uranus, after 7 years in Taurus, still in Taurus, will finally ingress Gemini in July 2025. So with these changes, we can already see, for those who understand or know astrology, and for those who do not, let me translate this for you. We are moving into more masculine energies of fire and air, but obviously as an invitation to cooperate with the feminine energy that has been such a protagonist and will continue to be in this present world. So it's like inviting us to bring the feminine, the connection, the inner kind of connection, creativity,
the nurturing,
sensitivity,
yeah.
everything that has to do
Mm,
with giving birth to something new,
mm,
with the force of the fire, the courage of the fire, the initiative of the fire. That's why Saturn and Neptune in Aries will be bringing in this kind of ingredient. And air, masculine energy of thought, intelligence, communication, connection, circulation, coming into the present reality to activate a new mind, a new
beautiful.
perspective, a new view on things, and even new ideologies, right? So
Mm.
this is like the big picture. So I don't know if you want me to go little by little into each one of these, do you think?
What I'm feeling is it's beautiful the way that you've been explaining. Thank you. And I know that you offer really beautiful sessions for more personal, in depth readings. So, because obviously we can't go into each astrological sign, if you could please kindly just give us a beautiful overview, that would be
Hmm.
wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. For each one of the signs, you mean?
No, just in terms of
Oh,
as we go,
okay,
this is what I'm
sure.
saying. There's so much to delve into with
Yeah,
each of the signs.
exactly.
So people can contact you for a personal reading. This is
Absolutely.
just in terms of how, as sensitives, as creatives, as intuitive empaths, as empaths of all walks of life,
Hmm. Yeah.
what this means for us and what's happening
Okay.
in a general sense
Yeah,
with
perfect.
the planets. That would be
Yeah, because
wonderful. Thank you.
it's true what you're saying, that now I'm giving like an overall view of what is going to happen at a
Mm,
more general level. But
mm,
then, of course, your chart, your personal map, your personal energy field will get a special kind of resonance with this have this sky, if you like.
mm,
Actually a more kind of personal view into that map, and how the sky affects it, again, as a sort of guidance of what
mm,
things to be especially aware of, to take real advantage of, or, as I say, like kind of preventive medicine. If you know, or kind of weather forecast, if you know it's going to rain hard
mm.
on your map, well, get a good raincoat and umbrella and brace yourself for this, right? But you've got
Gorgeous.
the
I love that
tools,
analogy.
right? Exactly. So I would like to start with Pluto, as I said.
Mm,
Pluto has already visited Aquarius beginning of 2023, beginning of 2024, but it made its ingress for good, let's say for at least many years, in November this year, 2024, and will remain in Aquarius and up until March 2043. So this is a very, very long period of time of Pluto visiting this sign. So Pluto is the planet that works with deep, profound transformations. And how does Pluto work? Well, Pluto works with intensity, works with a spirit of really extracting for good, with the energy of a very uncomfortable purge, if you like, because it says everything that is toxic in your life, or anything that you've hold on to and it has no creativity, no kind of life in it, has to really end or come to an end for a new beginning,
mm,
right? So, well, Pluto in Capricorn for many years has definitely brought many changes to the signs of Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra. Now, the axis moves into four other signs. Actually, I would like to make this clear. We will all, in some way or another, be affected or
mm.
influenced by this Pluto in Aquarius. But the signs that will probably be kind of witnessing and going through the experience more on the roller coaster than others will be fixed signs like Taurus and Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius, right?
I thought Leo may
So,
be in the mix there.
exactly. So, the significance of Pluto in
Mm,
Aquarius, actually, and especially at a more kind of mundane point of view, is precisely the invitation for this collective transformations that are going to be really, really impactful in the areas of technology, social structures, uh, humans' shared vision, and the way things take place at a more mental level. And just to kind of exemplify with a very clear kind of symbol of what Pluto in Aquarius means, let's talk about AI, artificial intelligence, the power of technology to kind of make use of the most powerful kind of concepts or ideas in just the click of a finger. Just
Incredible.
anything. Yeah, it's
Yeah, and
amazing.
constantly changing.
Up to the point that
Mm,
now I've heard the concept ASI, artificial
wow.
super intelligence.
Only
Why?
gonna
Because
get, only get. I didn't think it could get any more super than it is now.
and it will grow
Wow.
exponentially. And
Mm,
this is one of the things that I think we will have to get little by little used to. I don't know if it's little by little because everything comes so quickly and I mean in such a incredible way. Like unfortunately the storms and the floods and the winds, that is also a representation of what Pluto in Aquarius
mm,
means, right? Unaware of what could happen or we didn't the idea is we probably will not see it coming, many
mm.
of the things that are going to happen we won't see them coming, we will be taken by surprise. That's what I wanted to say. But this SASI concept means that artificial intelligence will be surpassed by ASI and more and more and
Wow.
more. So, one of the things that I want to emphasize about this is that the world as we know it will definitely become a different world at many levels:
Mm,
social structures, ideological principles, political organizations or concepts, economy, and everything and everywhere we look into, we will see that things change at an astronomical speed, difficult to follow, even to grasp. There will be many things that we won't be able to understand because of how new everything is and how quick everything happens.
gosh.
And there is also, I think, a concept that will help us understand this more. For the last 200 years or so, the power as such has been in the hands of material things, right? The thirst for territory, money as a material resource,
Greed.
oil,
Mm,
absolutely.
mm,
Now, power changes hands into everything connected with the air, with space. So, who has more control over space? And what technology is even more advanced to be able to control the world as it is, right? And again, with this curiosity, I invited you to welcome these changes.
mm.
Let's see what happens when it comes to intelligence is coming from somewhere else, something that has been sort of referred to lately, you know, some records of some visits or encounters or whatever. But what was part of science fiction or hard to believe will be part of our daily life.
Amazing. So extraterrestrial consciousness is
Absolutely.
becoming a little bit more mainstream, would you say?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. Even this artificial intelligence,
Mm.
maybe there's something already coming from somewhere else that we are now more open to bring into our lives,
That
right?
would make so much sense because personally, when I'm working with AI, it doesn't feel like I'm just having a conversation with a computer.
Absolutely. There's some being there saying,
Amazing.
"Hello, Aline, can I help you?" So I think shocking as it might seem now, this will in the coming years, and not so many, because as I said, everything speeds up. So what used to take 10 years or even 100 years will take
like
less
that.
time. Just, yeah.
Mm.
So this is a little bit of what Pluto brings in. Obviously, if we think of, I don't like to use the term positive or negative, but if we
Mm.
think of, say, the detriment of Pluto in Aquarius, of course, everything connected with conflicts and wars and, the thirst of power and the results of these manipulative or controlling force will be more widespread, and using technology that it's hard to really control, if you like,
Mm.
right? But let's think in positive terms,
Mm.
and let's think that the power of technology to find answers to medical mysteries or unresolved problems that will
Mm.
help us grow and kind of be able to really find solutions that were definitely not possible a short while ago.
Mm.
This is what is coming in, like I
Yeah.
was reading something about the in the field of medicine, the possibility of now scanning a little something in your body, knowing that in 20, 30 years from now that could become cancer, but
Gosh.
being able to say, look, this needs different kind of eating habits or different kind of lifestyle, or even through science the removal of whatever it is.
Mm.
So you see, I like to think
Amazing.
of Pluto in that
Okay.
way.
So you
Yeah,
mentioned before about inviting us to preventative medicine. I mean, that's an incredible
yeah,
example of it. And being,
because
and like you said before, being curious rather than uncertain.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so again, think of looking at the world through the eyes of a child.
Mm.
I mean,
Childlike
being
wonder.
in
Yeah.
awe, absolute awe of,
I feel it
wow, how
already.
funny that is, how much fun, right? Of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
challenges, we've
Mm.
always had them, we will always have them,
We
but
came here for a human experience.
exactly. And the invitation is for this, we are witnessing a moment of incredible changes that have already taken place in the history of humanity.
Mm.
Think of what happened during the Industrial Revolution, to mention but one, and
Mm.
many of the movements now have to do with the times of the early revolution. So we are in the midst of a revolution, but and we have to get used to it, right? Things that did not exist before will be part of our daily life, and this is a revolution in every sense of the word. But
Mm.
this brings advancement. This is what helps us move forward and move on, right?
Mm.
So let's talk a little bit about Neptune.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
if you have any questions, Aline, be free to ask me, please,
No,
because there's
wonderful.
so much.
What I'm feeling is it's really beautiful to listen to you, and because you're talking about the collective and in general. And if I feel there's a question, I may ask. I kind of feel that the way we work, though, we're quite telepathic.
Yeah.
So some of the feelings like going, oh, maybe I should ask about that. You're actually talking about it. So
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, so I think that that is going to thank you for this, because we are going to start communicating that way as
Mm,
part, and we already are. The thing
mm,
is opening up to that possibility. We can all work with these tools, and we all
absolutely.
have
Yeah.
access to this. The only thing is we need to trust and
Mm,
open up, and that's what the world is asking of us, right? Not to
gorgeous.
question so much.
Yeah. And as you said, Saturn being in Pisces for the last couple of years has been making it a little bit more acceptable for everybody to understand what many sensitives have been understanding for years,
Yeah, exactly.
that actually it helps everybody. It's not just a certain niche or minority, it's for everybody. Yeah,
Exactly.
gorgeous.
Exactly. So Neptune in Pisces for the
Mm,
last 12 years will make its ingress in Aries in March 2025. The last time Pisces was in Aries was in between 1861 and 1875, times of the American Civil War, the rise of industrialization, many shifts in ideology and leadership, and so on and so forth. So, with this new ingress of Neptune in Aries, there will be an invitation for combining spirituality, idealism, empathy, sensitivity, compassion, plus courage.
beautiful.
Have the courage to
Mm,
think you can and you
mm,
will take
mm,
action
mm,
in in connection with everything that you might just think is part of your dreams or part of your psyche. Aries says get inspiration from these inner
mm.
messages to really take action.
May I ask a question on that,
Sure,
please?
absolutely.
Thank you. Because we're currently, Mars is in retrograde in Leo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that, would you say that is, say,
Mm.
creating, that is preparing us in terms of Mars in retrograde invites us to go inside, and particularly as it's in Leo, would you say that's giving us that inner courage to
Yeah,
enter into?
excellent, excellent. It's not even a question. You've already said it, which is fantastic. So let me take that up a little bit. And Mars retrogrades every 2 years. So this
Mm,
does not happen as often as it does with Mercury or the rest of the planets, except the Moon and the Sun never retrograde.
mm,
Venus and Mars, they don't retrograde every year, right? So let's talk
yeah.
about Mars in this case. What is interesting is that before going retrograde, Mars in Leo made a very strong opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. And
Wow.
Pluto and Mars, rulers of Scorpio both, are planets that, when combined, they sort of merge their energies and their power in order to take extreme action, again, for good or for bad. Because,
Mm,
of course, if we transfer that into, the elections in the in the US,
mm,
they took place with this opposition, right?
mm,
Pluto and Mars. So, um, what happened when this conjunction took place, and which will remain active up until April, right?
okay.
Long period.
Mm,
It's not going to be exact all throughout this time, but it's going to play. I mean, again, meeting Pluto and then moving a little bit further away and then moving forward to catch up with it again. But again, the message that Pluto and Mars have given us is that it's time to really trust your individuality, your sense of I can, I will, right? It's a lot about your will, your personal sense of self,
I
right?
am.
And
Yeah.
just I am
Mm,
and I can and
mm,
I will no
mm,
matter what. So Pluto just
mm,
pushed it us into the center stage of things, right? Obviously, as with anything else, some people use this energy for bad and in order to take extreme violent action, but it does not have to be about negative action. It's just do it, take action, trust yourself, right? Something just between brackets. the nodal axis in Aries Libra worked around all throughout 2023, 2024, right? For 19 months to be more
Mhm.
precise. And in short, the North Node in Aries was the suggestion for think of yourself, think of your needs, think of your willpower, your strength, and don't and try not to be so much influenced by the look of other people upon you, the opinion of others, the expectations of others, like a little bit less of political kindness
Mm.
and more assertive energy
Mm.
for yourself.
Mm.
So now then comes Mars meeting Pluto and giving us a sort of eye bird view of things. Now
Okay.
Mars retrogrades, as you
Mm.
said. Okay, let's rethink what kind of action I'm going to take that I'm really interested in, that I really want for myself, and that I trust I can kind of show and express, right?
Mm.
So, retrograde Mars is this period of introspection into what kind of action, what moves me, what drives me
Mm.
really, and what is it about myself I want to really show spontaneously. I mean, honestly, frankly, right?
Mm.
So, yes, what you were saying, there is obviously a connection between Neptune in Mars and Saturn in Mars because the ruler is, Neptune and Saturn in Aries because the ruler is Mars. And when we
Yes.
talk about the ruler, is the planet that really has the sort of say in the way these planets are going to behave, right?
Mm.
So obviously, Neptune in Aries can also bring in, as it did many, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, can spark conflicts into different ideological visions. So there might be wars, ideological wars going on, right?
Mm. Yes.
And as I said, Saturn will also leave Pisces, and that worked very nicely
May I
with.
just say something? For those of you who are listening who haven't seen, you may have noticed there's a fly coming around, and a fly is all about getting on with it.
Yeah,
So it's really interesting that the fly, and
yeah.
as I said, for those of you who are listening, the fly just came and sat on the chair, to just a little reminder for us all to get on with it. So, talking about where we are with Mars in retrograde at the moment, really inviting us all to really feel what what lights us up, what's our passion, and get on with it. So I just felt to say that. Thank you, Patricia. It's so
Lovely, lovely
fabulous to
symbol. I
hear.
saw the fly over there. And, I'm going to use or take it up again
Mm,
just to reinforce the concept. If I was kind of giving you the final words for this talk, it would be
mm,
flow with the current as the fly
gorgeous.
does, right?
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's precisely a very nice kind of anticipation of what the final words could have been.
They
So,
can still be. We can have more.
sure. And, maybe that fly comes from some other planetary
I would say
existence
so.
and interested in what we are talking about.
Mm,
So, Saturn enters in Aries in May 2025. So, obviously, this dormant Saturn or kind of sleepy Saturn will start taking real action in terms of what are your ambitious projects, what are your plans to assert your individual self, this I am. So Saturn invites us now to give it some sort of shape and form and to really become fully aware of our capacities and then build up on that,
Mm.
right? It's like Saturn, the tower, and Aries, the Amazon, the warrior, just grabbing the weapons that we need in order to build, to construct, right?
Beautiful.
To make
Mm.
real,
Mm.
right? Something that was part of the dreamy world of Pisces now needs to be acted on, right?
Mm.
So, of course, Saturn also symbolizes hierarchy, authority, the patriarchy, something that Pluto in Capricorn actually worked a lot to deconstruct. But now Saturn in Aries will challenge many authority figures, many systems that placed its emphasis on one head at the top of the tower, right? But with the force of the collective, this has to cease. This will no longer have the power and the strength with Pluto in Aquarius. The power moves hand from the one person authority to
Mm.
the voice of the collective,
So
right?
we're really being encouraged to work together and rise
Exactly.
up, quite
Yeah.
frankly. Yeah.
Yeah. And working together also
Mm.
means do not forget your individual self,
Sure.
because the collective works as the summing up of the individual,
Mm.
right? That is
Beautiful.
Aquarius, right?
Mm.
Like, Aquarius um, is pretty much connected with the symbol of the waterman, or what do you call it in English?
The water
Uh,
carrier.
the water carrier,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm.
And the meaning or the symbol of the water carrier is I've got my own vessel or my own vase. I can construct it, I can build it, I can create it. It's the way I carry water.
Mm.
But if I just carry water to my own place, I end up being flooded with water. So, what the invitation is, let's share the water, because the more water we share, an ocean can come out of it, right? So, it's
Mm.
the generosity or the generous spirit of the water carrier to, with your own vessel, you can make it of gold, you can make it of earth or whatever you like, but share the water with
Gorgeous.
others, right? So
Gorgeous.
this is the invitation, right? Uranus, another slow planet, in Taurus for 7 years, taught us a lot about how Mother Earth felt about our misuse and abuse of
Mm.
her and our resources,
Mm.
right? But from
Mm.
her womb, right?
Mm.
So the way we've been kind of abusing the use of water, the way we treat animals, the
Mm.
way we kind of um, intend for selfish reasons to extract and have more and possess more. Where Uranus, the spirit of rebellion, said enough. And when Uranus starting its way into Taurus, end of 2017, but more precisely 2018, started making us aware that we had to put an end to this. And then the
Mm.
pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And then we stopped using oil for traveling. And this period of um, consumption or wanting
Mm.
more and
Mm.
needing more, it was like,
Mm.
stay home, look at nature, how it revives, how it is reborn. That is planet Earth. Exactly.
Dolphins in the canal and
Exactly.
yeah.
It was
Yeah, absolutely.
amazing what we
Yeah.
saw, and we
Yes.
kind of were in awe. Oh, look at the planet. This is our planet we live
Yeah.
on. We've been living
We're
on for,
guests.
yes. So don't forget what you're
Mm,
doing, right?
mm,
And then, of course, many transformations in the economy, in, currencies becoming digital, blah, 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 everything else. Okay, let's talk about the new kind of energy that comes with Uranus ingressing
mm.
in Gemini in July 2025. There will be a kind of going back to Taurus in November 2025 to finally ingress Gemini in April 2026. Now, the last time Uranus was in Gemini was during the Second World War and the
Wow.
aftermath. So, what this means is yes, rebellions, revolts, upheavals, the air of Gemini will
Mm,
make this even
mm.
together with Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, forming a beautiful trine. So,
Gorgeous.
the expectation of Pluto and Uranus is to do their most and the best for us depends on how we use this
Yeah.
possibility.
Well, there's so many beautiful movements that what was really coming up for me when you were talking about Gaia and Uranus with Mother Earth is veganism. How
Exactly.
that's become more and more accepted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it became more popular. The
Mm,
conscious eating.
mm,
We choose what we eat
mm,
because how many of us, and I include myself, have
mm.
been having kind of strange upsets in our
Mm.
digestive system, things
Yeah.
that had never happened before started like showing up. Okay, it's part of that. Be conscious of what gets into your body, the only one you have. So,
Mm,
time to make changes, Uranus says.
mm.
So, time to make changes through Gemini is changes in the way you think, the way you process information, the way you communicate, the way you make information circulate, right? So even when the Second World War, of course, was, and during the early stages of the Cold War, it was a very difficult time for humanity because of all these kind of uncomfortable movements
Mm.
of greedy movements, if you like. Um, Actually, what Uranus in Gemini is brought during that time was also great advancements in transportation, in communication. What was the first steps into advanced technology, if you like, right?
Yeah.
Something that will become unstoppable now with Pluto in
ASI.
Aquarius and Uranus in
Yeah.
Gemini. So this incredible advancements, these breakthroughs, this cutting edge technology that will be part and is already part of our daily life, and also great advancements in learning. You know,
Mm.
it's like our mind will be this time greedy for more information, new
Mm. I hear
information. Yeah.
that.
So, your podcast, sure, it's going to be amazing. Everything that you're going to share with your audience, different voices, because that is Gemini. Today, you're listening to me. Tomorrow, you're listening to other people bringing
Mm.
in more information that you can really uh, make good use of or profit from, right?
Yeah.
So,
And as you said, as individuals, sharing.
exactly,
Yeah. Beautiful.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, um, this part of the talk, and I'm going to mention just a couple of things just to kind of give a more complete view of the calendar. But then, and we've talked about this, so that's why I mention it. Then we can meet every now and again and say, okay, what about the eclipses taking place now in April or in September, right?
Mm.
So, because actually, eclipses 2025 come hand in hand with the change of the nodal axis, right? I mentioned a little bit before that in during 19 months, the north node was in the sign of Aries and the south node was in the sign of Libra. What are the nodes? Actually, they are not planets. Actually, they refer to a point where the ecliptic of the sun and the trajectory of the moon meet in one spot called the lunar node. And the north node refers to everything that for 19 months we have to allow to get into our lives as a kind of invitation to learn, to incorporate, to bring into our lives in a sort of Jupiterian way, suggesting this will bring abundance into your life.
Mm-hmm.
So trust and allow, right?
Mm.
That is the north
Gorgeous.
node.
Mm-hmm.
And for the north node to be activated, we need to release the energy in the south node, which is always in the opposite sign, as if it were a bag that is so full that we need to release and extract and let go of
Have a
in order
cleanse.
and cleanse in order to allow the north
Mm-hmm.
node to become really activated, right? In it has to do with the symbol of a dragon, the north node being the mouth of a dragon that brings in something really important into your life for again an experience of evolution, and the south node is like the tail of the dragon, right, where everything that is no longer needed is extracted, right? So the North Node will now shift into Pisces. And we talked a lot about Neptune and Saturn in Pisces and what the work that it
Mm.
did during that time. And the invitation with the North Node in Pisces is that regardless of everything I've said about the mind and the spirit of courage and action, everything that has to do with masculine energy should absolutely incorporate or be fully aware that
Mm.
without the feminine energy, nothing has the fertility to really become a reality or grow or
Has
be
to have a
born.
balance. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the North Node reminds us and invites us all the time to connect. I would just talk about connect, but
Mm.
let's be more precise. Connect with the source, connect with your unconscious and the collective unconscious, connect with spiritual awareness, with everything that reminds us of our divine source. So
Beautiful.
it's like human beings
Mm.
now taken over by artificial intelligence, artificial this and that, and the power of the mind. Don't forget your origin. You are divine. You are a divine being, right?
Gorgeous.
You are the God. You are the goddess. Don't forget that.
Creation. Yeah.
And you are
Beautiful.
creation.
And
And
also, it's
yeah.
really beautiful how you're talking about the nodes because synchronicity that we happen to be in the Chinese sign of the dragon at the
Mm,
moment.
you see, so much sense.
Mm.
And the south node in Virgo, the opposite sign of Pisces, is all about precision, all about organization, with a lot of with a critical view of everything needs to fit into is square or
Mm.
space.
Mm.
So, Virgo is about mental strategy, order, systemization. Everything is about systems, functionality, like making the machine work properly and orderly. Now, I would like to bring this concept in. To me, it's very important. When we talk about releasing and bringing in, it's
Mm-hmm.
important to remember we are talking about an axis that is connected. So it doesn't mean getting rid of completely. It's like removing, extracting what does not serve the purpose of the other axis, which is the north node. So Pisces and Virgo are both connected to the principle of service, being of service, giving service. So the generous service, unconditional service, compassionate service of Pisces is kind of urging us not to be so picky, precise, detailed, obsessed with the little things of the
Perfectionist.
machinery, the perfectionist, being all about finding fault with or the right place for. It's not so much about that. The, it is a little bit about that because if we just go to the extreme of Pisces without Virgo, we go into absolute chaos.
So having a little bit of
Now,
structure.
chaos
Yeah.
as the principle of creativity, I love it. But chaotic, whatever, drives us crazy and makes us feel that we are at a loss. So,
Mm.
Virgo is very helpful for putting things into perspective, bringing it down to reality, and placing it in the exact place, but without being so obsessed with making it absolutely perfect. Perfection is in your just giving yourself away to whatever the cosmos and whatever you want to call the energy of the highest spirit, whatever we receive as a message as in this moment, at time um, of so many transformative changes. Trust the
Beautiful.
divine.
And this is what
Listen
this
to the voice
podcast
of
is
the
all
divine.
about. It's about accepting every single aspect of ourselves, lights, shadows, everything, no comparisons, no perfectionism, so we can get on with why we're here.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense, right? So
Yeah.
just to round it up, and then if you
Mm.
have any questions, I'm all open for them. It's what I said in the beginning. Yes, we are on the threshold of incredible changes that we cannot even talk about because they've never existed before. So I don't have a crystal ball to know exactly what will happen.
Mm.
But connect yourself with your inner child. Get ready, pack up your suitcase for an incredible ride in a fantastic world. Be curious, don't be afraid, and connect yourself with your inner force of your inner self and be open, right?
Beautiful.
And enjoy it. Enjoy the ride.
I could listen to you all day. That's so gorgeous. Thank you so, so much. So,
Thank you, Ali.
um, Patricia is a very, very busy lady, and she offers so many beautiful ways for connection with groups. I understand you're going to be offering actually astrology groups in
Yeah,
English as well.
exactly. Exactly.
Wonderful. And I can highly recommend, if you've been listening or watching, you can see how amazing Patricia is. Please do get in touch if you would like to have a personal reading for 2025. All we've done is just kind of fairy dust the surface
I
of
like.
what is happening in 2025 as a collective. If you would like for deeper insights, and as Patricia was saying, to have your umbrella and your raincoat ready so you can have that preventative action and you have an idea of what's coming for you in 2025. That sounds a bit dramatic, coming for you. You can feel into what may be arriving for you in 2025. Do get in touch with Patricia. As you can see, as you can hear, she is wonderful. One of the most beautiful, beautiful women I know, with the most
Thank
gorgeous
you, Ali.
heart and the most incredible knowledge. I'm going to cry.
Oh,
So
so
I highly,
lovely.
highly suggest you, if you're feeling called, this is your message. The AI is calling you to tell you to do this. The extraterrestrials are calling you to do this. You're listening to this. Your source is telling you to do this. Your mind, body, soul has put you in front of your computer or listening to this at the moment for this moment to get in touch with Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And so on that note, feliz Navidad. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Fue un momento increíble. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias, Aline. Gracias. Ahí uso mi lenguaje materno. Gracias a todos. Feliz Navidad. Happy Christmas. Feliz Año Nuevo. The best wishes for the new year ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so happy Christmas. Thank you so much for being here, Patricia. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Here is to your self-acceptance. Here is to your self-empowerment. And here is to you accepting every single gorgeous aspect of yourself. Happy Christmas. Feliz Navidad. Ho. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Accepting. Please do stay tuned for future episodes and also subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If there's anything at all that you'd like me to cover in future episodes, please get in touch and let me know. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Acceptance Coach and on TikTok at Solution Union 99. And if you'd like to have any coaching at all, or you would like to discuss this, do book an expansion call. For now, I'm your host, Aline, and to your self-acceptance, gorgeous, with so much love.